Welcome, Sarah. Thank you again for being here. And I would love for us to talk today about Celtic Reiki and your journey with the Celtic path. So, would you like to introduce yourself to the people watching now?
Okay, well, my name is Sarah-Louise Tilsley. I'm a Reiki teaching master and a Druid healer from the UK.
And you've been teaching me a lot. And we had a previous interview where we talked all about Oceanic Reiki, and you showed us your beautiful seashells that are acting as healing companions to your sessions. And it's been so beautiful to discover that and to study two levels with you. And today we're talking all about the connection to the trees, to the plant world, to the vegetal consciousness. And I did that class with you, and you offer those classes to people one on one whenever they want. But first, I wanted to ask you, are you the creator of Celtic Reiki?
No, I'm not. It is another Druid in the Order of Obod, which I belong to, the world's largest Druid organization. He was downloaded the system, and he's also a Qigong practitioner. So the word Reiki is a little bit misleading because he has primarily used the Irish Ogham tree symbols. But he's given it the name Reiki so that people know what it is. And instead of using the chakra system, we use the Qigong Dantian system, the three energy centers for martial arts.
And there
Um,
are the third eye, right? The heart, and then the
the
navel.
heart and the lower Dantian, which is roughly where the sacral is, but it's not quite the sacral.
That's so exciting. So, how did you come about this class and now you're teaching it?
Well, I'd always heard about it, but it was kind of on the back burner. My Reiki journey started off with Egyptian Reiki, which I've always thought akin to the fire element. Then the seashell Reiki got downloaded to me, and I accidentally ended up doing angelic Reiki, which was the air element. And I thought, I need the earth one. And I couldn't find anyone who taught it online or even one to one. I had to, do a distant course which was just sent to me by computer and one of these keyboard attunements. And because I have been a druid and worked with the trees, I'm a gardener by trade. I look after orchards and I grow food for people in their gardens. It kind of finished the set of earth, air, fire, and water. Um, I then asked her if she could send me the manuals for teaching and the attunements because I wanted to do that. And the Celtic Reiki course came into effect. But the the interesting thing with this course is that Martin Pentecost, the creator, understands that energy needs to shift and change as the planet does and as our spirituality and our technology does. So he said, keep the main things the same, but teach it however you want. And that's like being a child in a candy shop. What do I put in? There's so much. So it took me quite a while to decide what would be the elements of each course. So I decided to model it on the Druidry. The first level would be the bardic, you'd get to know it, start writing a bit of poetry. The second would be the ovate, the real healing, when you get down to healing people. And this master course, which I've just finished this year, is kind of like for people who want to delve deeper, but I'm calling it the Druid course, but the Avata course. So you will journey as an adventurer, you'll journey as a warrior, you'll journey as an alchemist, and you'll journey as a master, and you'll journey as I think a hermit. I can't quite remember. But it also incorporates the Norse runes as well, because we're so close to Northern Europe. And of course, a lot of the Norse pagans came over to us. So that's what it incorporates. So it's good fun. It's light. It's not really deep like these shamanic courses that people go on. I kind of like to introduce people and open the door for them, and then they can go through and take things a bit further themselves if they wish to.
Thank you for explaining all that. I want to ask you more personal questions now because we see what you brought into that class. I want to ask you about your own Celtic path. When did it start, and what does it look like in your daily life?
Okay, so I became interested in rocks and crystals and seashells all my life, and then I went to a psychic development course and went on my first journey meditation, and a druid showed up, and I knew what he was. I had realised I'd always been obsessed by Stonehenge druids and stone circles. And I met a lady online in America who told me about the Druid courses and the worldwide organizations. So when I finished my teaching master's course, I was decided to learn about paganism and Druidry, because I've always delved into Tibetan Buddhism, Hinduism, but I wanted to learn something from my own soil.
Mm-hmm. And
But
your own roots, right?
and of course, I'm a gardener by trade, um, so that's what I wanted to do, really learn about the spirituality of my own lands and see where that took me.
And where did that take you? Where are you
Well,
now?
it took me. These are correspondence courses, so you can do them in your own time. I was always really a solitary practitioner. But I would get together with my local friends and just take them on meditations. The Reiki teaching helped me to learn to do that. And eventually, when I got to the Druid course and I literally turned the last page over, it says, right, now it's time to get out into your community. And I was like, oh, okay. So I introduced myself to the local Druid groves around here, and they were really welcoming. There is no hierarchy like with the witchery and the Wiccans, and really welcoming. You don't have to be a Druid to go to the meets, and you can have different ideas about things, but we're all doing the same thing. We're following the calendar of the landscape, and singing praises to the old gods. Even if we don't believe in them, we're listening to their stories and seeing how they fit in with the wheel of the year.
And right now we are going closer to Ostara, which is the equinox.
I think in about 3 days we enter the energy of Ostara.
That's so exciting.
It's the time to balance. So we've got 6 weeks roughly to get ourselves into balance before we move into the Beltane energy.
Are you looking, like, what is your favorite Celtic calendar celebration?
Oh, that's so hard. The first one I ever did would have been Imbolc. Do you know, I think it would have to be the solstices. I typically prefer the winter solstice because I have a holiday from my orchards then. And I kind of like smaller groups of people rather than bigger groups of people. So, but I think they all have their merits and they're all very interesting. And I would tailor them all to whichever land I was living in. If I was, in India, I would be looking at the Indian spirituality for the wheel of the year, and if I was in America, I would be, okay, I'm descended from Celts, but I would be living on that land, so I would be looking at what's around me there and what's happening there.
I love that. And I wanted to ask you how, as connecting to the Celtic path and to even your work with the orchards, with the gardens, like what is the connection to the trees that you have, and what does it look like? Like, is it defying the sense of normalcy that we have around, a tree is a tree, or is there something more?
Well, I suppose I was gardening before I was investigating this paganism, but I can tell you that about a week ago, the orchard appeared in my dream as if, and it happens every February, March time, they sort of call me, they want me to come back and see them. So I take one of my flutes quite often to work, and I will sit in the orchard in my coffee break and I will play music to the trees. I say hello to them and I investigate them, and I'm looking after them and feeding them, really. I don't do any too weird stuff, but I literally just like to go and sit down underneath the tree, rest my back against it, and go into silence and see what arises from that, how it feels more.
Yes, and that's what I love so much about your classes. It's all about the experience. It's all about the connection through that meditation, through just meeting and experiencing. So yeah, if anyone here is, wondering, please introduce yourself to Sarah's beautiful videos online and to your classes, because there's knowing something and then there's knowing it from your heart, from having experienced it. So
yes, and everyone will experience things differently and feel things differently. We just kind of teach you how to get to that stage so you can experience it yourself.
Exactly. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about the Ogham. What is the Ogham for the people who don't know what it is, and yeah, how do you use it?
So the Ogham are a system of lines, and it's taken me years to learn them because they all look so similar.
They do.
And perhaps they were originally created as accounts systems, or a lot of the standing stones in Ireland have slashes of these marks in them, possibly boundaries. And there is talk that when the Romans invaded, Druids would talk like this with the Irish system so that the Romans didn't know what they were saying. And phonetically, the language lives today and is spoken in Ireland. I think the calendar of the year that we see a lot in the books, I think that's a modern invention. Of course, spirituality changes all the time and we fit things in to work with our ideas. Some people like to keep it pure and go back to the old ways. But for instance, if you cast your shield into a bog, that would be called pollution now, wouldn't it? It would be garbage. So I don't really think that being a reconstructionalist is the way to go about things, because we live a completely different world and a different life now. So it's really about bringing these things into you, and we would use these as we would use the Reiki symbols, for instance. People would always also use those in spell work. These particular ones have been collected. They're all of the actual trees.
Wow.
And I spent about 4 or 5 years collecting these from the standing circles and the sacred places in the south of England where I live. So I know each tree and I know where I collected them from. But you can just get popsicle sticks and put your marks on them and they would work just the same.
So yeah, one thing that we didn't mention is that they're all they're letters of an alphabet and they're all connected to a tree. And so it's so fascinating that the letters to the alphabet is a tree. Obviously it's so big. It's like such a big symbol because each tree is connected to a myth or is connected to the way they use the tree in their village, like the way they built, like what they built with those trees and with that wood. And that's so...
Absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mention. There's so much with it, you see. There's the psychology, the ancient lore, the healing of what these medicinal trees do. And like you say, the tools and the legends as well. So there is a lot. But also in Celtic Reiki, we channel landscapes for healing. Um, for instance, if somebody had rheumatoid arthritis, well, I would channel the desert air to them because it's hot and dry, and hopefully that will alleviate. So I think that's my favourite part of the Celtic Reiki. Visualising a landscape, sending it to someone, and describing it if you're doing the talking meditations as well. And you can feel in classes when we try this, it instantly changes with a thought, doesn't it? The energy that is being sent to each other.
I remember that day when we were sending to each other back and forth, like, and this is ice, this is a glacier. And we're like, oh my God, yes, I can feel it. It was so fun.
I always get it wrong. It's a standing joke with my students. In the Egyptian Reiki, we use elements earth, air, fire, and water, and we play a game where it's guess the element. And I got it wrong every time. So,
well, you're really good at sending them.
I'm good at instructing people and sending it, but I can't always quite gauge what's coming to me when it gets sent.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I love that because it really develops the meditation practice of like creating an atmosphere for someone, which is kind of enveloping them in an energy, which is, the ecosystem of a tree, of the ground, of the air, the temperature. So it's definitely very, very helpful. I wanted to ask you, like, was this your addition into that class?
What, the sending of landscapes? I'm not sure because he's written a few books, but they're so in depth. No, I don't think it was because he talks about that, but it might have been. It might have been because I try and send any energy. I think everything on this planet has been gifted for us. Even snake venom is now used in heart patients. So you just got to change the molecular structure or the way that it's used, and it will be good. And the poisons are medicines if they're used in the right quantities. But of course, I'm not dabbling with the actual herbology of things. It's a lot safer just to send the chi.
Definitely. And I wanted to ask, where can we find you and when can people join your class for whether it's Angelic Reiki, Oceanic Reiki, Egyptian Reiki, and now Celtic Reiki with the master level?
Okay, so I am on virtually all the platforms. I have a big YouTube channel with loads and about a couple of hundred meditations now and visualizations and ASMR. So under all the show notes in those meditation videos are my email address. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok, which I love ashamedly. I like the fact that they're nice, quick, and I can just do something little and put my favorite music on in the background. So you could find me at Sarah-Louise Tilsley or Reiki Dreams, which is all one word. I have a very old website that is kind of defunct now, and I'm not going to create another website because all the information is out there on those other platforms. In regards to teaching, you can join a course anytime, and I would teach it one-on-one with you over a 4-week period. Not videos. We actually interact as we teach because everyone has different ways of learning and everyone has different questions. But if I am running a course, it would be on a Sunday.
Thank you so much for sharing this. And now we're going to start a meditation together. And if you would like to settle down, close your eyes and start breathing properly, fully into your lungs, let's go.
So we're going to just do a visualization now to meet the apple tree. But what I do is I'd like you just to close your eyes, take a couple of breaths in, and I want you to imagine that you are in a beautiful garden. I'd like you to see an apple tree and walk across to it. Ask if you can sit down underneath it. And then rest your back against this tree. Feel yourself merging and imagine roots growing out of your body and down past your hips and knees, down through your feet into the ground below you. Your roots push down through the soil and they start to merge with the apple tree roots. And some of them continue even further and further down until they get a foothold somewhere within the inner earth. And then those roots start to draw up the energy of Gaia, imagining that beautiful green and white energy being drunk up by your root system. And it reaches your feet and it starts to travel up your legs. Breathe out again and totally relax your body as the energy reaches your abdomen and it starts to spin around and open the energy center there. And like the sap of a tree, it rises up to your heart, swirling around your heart center. It opens and activates the middle dantian. The sap continues to rise in you up to your yin-tang point, the third eye. Swirling around, it opens and activates this energy center. And then it still continues to rise and is pushed out of one of the minor energy centers in Chinese medicine, out of the top of your head, and spills back down around you like a fountain, to be drawn up through your feet again, and all the way up your system and out of your head in a perpetual motion of cleansing, healing, and protection. Take another breath in and imagine placing your hands on the earth or on some of the roots as they push into the ground. And start to slow your breathing down, feeling the energy of the apple tree, the quote. I'm just going to draw that Ogham symbol completely down your center line, the vertical line, and 5 short lines. And for those of you who can feel the energy, you may feel that it's quite light and quite cleansing. But for those of you who can't feel the energy, just accept and absorb it into you. The Tai Chi masters believe that intention creates matter. And think of the nature of this apple tree at the moment, at this time in the Northern Hemisphere. The buds are just starting to show, but it's still too cold for the blossom and the leaves to shoot out yet, but they're getting ready. And it is said that apple trees like human energy. This is why they are not too tall. They're happy and they're gay. Okay, let's imagine a few weeks hence, and the birds are singing, and the sun is getting stronger and stronger. And as those birds twitter and sing and flit around, bringing that life force energy, it is said that their music helps the trees to bud. And these beautiful white and delicate pink flowers start to open as if they're smiling down on you. They may have a gentle fragrance, but it would be ever so delicate, probably more potent at night than in the day. But they bring the promise of good things to come. So a few more weeks, and those petals start to fall like confetti onto the ground, making carpets of pink for you to walk underneath. Just feel them as they start to fall on you, bringing that gentle energy into your aura as they rain down. Take a breath in just to absorb that energy. And then a couple of weeks hence, as we move through the year, and those flowers are now forming tiny little apples in clusters, really showing the promise of goodness and the juice that we all know and love at the autumn equinox. But they've got a lot of growing to do, and as the sun gets stronger and the rain falls down and feeds the root systems, they grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Push time forward to the summer solstice. Slightly larger apples now, perhaps even showing little bits of red. The insects are buzzing around, and you'd be wanting to take some of the fruit off, because these trees are so abundant that you'll only get little apples, so you have to select and take some of these fruits off so that the ones that are left can create these big juicy apples. Feel the soil. Is it dry? Does this apple tree need a drink, a little helping hand in the hot season? And if it does, you stand up and you walk over to the water butt or the well that is in the garden. And then you bring that water back and you will feed your tree. Give it a drink. Thank it for the work that it's doing and the goodness that it's going to give you and your family in just a few months' time. Perhaps you would want to bless your tree, even hang little offerings in it. And then time moves forward to the end of August, to Lunasa, when the first harvest is collected. The farmers are out in their fields with the combine harvesters, and the trees and the fruits are growing fatter and fatter and fatter. You still may need to water it, and you may need to give it a bit of feed, perhaps a tomato feed or some potash, or helping that tree to grow, or sending it your healing. And then we push time on to the autumn equinox, the time when the water reflections and the light cast amazing reflections. And now we have these big juicy fruits which are ripe to be picked, showing little rosy cheeks on each apple. So now you take your basket and you pick some of the fruits, being ever thankful. As you lighten the load of this tree, the limbs may be breaking under the fruit. So you would do a little bit of gentle pruning so that the disease doesn't get into the tree, and fill your basket up with these wonders, knowing that the priestesses in Avalon, in Glastonbury, at this time of year would do a 3-day apple cleanse. Remember the phrase, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And as you bite into one of those apples, you hear it crunch and you feel that juice spurt into your mouth with that wonderful taste. Know that the quert is helping you with your vitamins and your minerals. And also know that this little bundle of joy can be stored over winter in a dry cupboard somewhere. So breathe in again, and now we come to the winter. And the leaves start to fall off the tree as the sap draws itself back down and the tree goes into its rest period to gain its strength and get its rest for the next year. You rake up the leaves and then you pat the tree on its trunk, thanking it for all its hard work this year and promising to look after it at the next year. You go inside for the winter, and then in January, you'll come out and you'll wassail, you'll bless the trees, you'll sing your folk songs to them, knowing that the cycle of death and rebirth will start again. And you will have this faithful friend in your garden for years to come. So now just take a deep breath in and grow your roots again down into the earth just to ground you, merging with the apple tree. And then you thank your friend for this journey, and you start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you are ready, open your eyes, feeling rested and refreshed all at the same time. And there you have it, completely off the cuff. Never done a meditation like that before, so that is my gift to you and your viewers today.
This is a real talent. How do you do this?
I have no idea. I think, I just thought I'd take you to the orchard, and then halfway through I thought, okay, we'll just do the life cycle of an apple tree.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for being here. Thank you for this meditation. I hope that everyone who enjoyed this will head over to your channel if they don't already know you and access all your meditations, all your ASMR. It's such a treasure on this internet that you're here and every week you're just uploading. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. Thank you for teaching us. And I hope that everyone goes and experience one-on-one with you, because obviously it's a magical interaction and it's much better than just watching a video of you. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for this interview, and it's been lovely to connect with you again.
Thank you.